What's up, YouTubers? It's Ernie, Blerd Without Fear, and we are going to be taking a look at Bats Out of Hell. Now, Bats Out of Hell is kind of a supplemental tie-in to the rest of the DC Rebirth Dark Knight's Metal event that's going on right now in DC Comics. And this one actually kind of gives us more of an opportunity to see the Justice League take on the rest of the Nightmare Batmen, the Batman of the Dark Multiverse, being led by Barbatos. For this first part of the video, we're really going to focus on The Flash number 33 and Justice League number 32. Which is going to be kind of an interesting thing for me, because I'm kind of jumping in on Justice League a little late, because I'm not going to lie, the first volume of Justice League in DC Rebirth did not do anything for me. Flash has been fairly solid from issue number 1, really from Rebirth Flash number 1 up until now, so I'm a little bit more current with Flash, and I'll do some videos on those later. But before we jump in, hit me up in the comments with any ideas on comics you want me to do a video on. And if this is your first time checking out my channel, click subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers, and hit that bell button so you can become part of the notification squad. Okay, so we kind of pick up with this one just before the end of Dark Knight's Metal number 3. This is where Superman and the Flash were going back to the Fortress of Solitude with the help of Steel to open up a portal to the Dark Multiverse, so that way Superman can go and pluck Batman out of the clutches of Barbatos. It's been a pretty harrowing journey for the Justice League up to this point, because they really at no point in this fight, from going back to Dark Knight's Metal number 1, and I mean, really, if you want to get into it, even going to the prelude, the Forge and the casting, the Dark Days run, man, they really have not won on any front so far up to this point. I mean, they technically know now that the Nth Metal is the key to stopping the Nightmare Batman, but I mean, that's really about it. That's really the only victory they've had up to this point. And with Superman gone through the portal into the Dark Multiverse, that leaves Flash and Steel to guard the tuning fork, which helps align all the different parts of the multiverse, all the different Earths across the multiverse, and to an even crazier extent, the more chaotic Dark Multiverse Earths. One of the things we learn right from the jump, all the different teams that split up with, Wonder Woman and Hawkgirl and Dr. Fate heading to the Rock of Eternity to try and find the Nth Metal there. We've got Hal Jordan and Mr. Terrific flying off with the Plastic Man egg into the Thanagar Empire. And, Aquaman and Deathstroke are reluctantly teaming up to reach into the deepest, darkest depths of the ocean to find Nth Metal there. And of course, Flash and Steel back at the Fortress of Solitude. The problem is that they get a transmission from Cyborg, and this is a warning, but it's too jumbled, and by the time they get it, it's too late. Boom tubes start opening up left and right leading into the Dark Multiverse, and everyone gets sucked into them, with the exception of Steel and Flash. But it's not long after that Devastator and the Murder Machine arrive, and Murder Machine makes it very clear he wants a crack at Steel, because mainly for curiosity's sake, because there is no Steel from his Earth, which I believe is Earth -44. There was nothing like him on that Earth, so he wants a crack at him to see, what he's all about, what he can do, and I would even dare say bragging rights. Hell, he may even just want to clown on him for that garbage-ass Steel movie with Shaquille O'Neal back in the day. But he makes it very clear to Steel that there is no Steel on his Earth. And Devastator doesn't care, because he's killed a Man of Steel before, so he doesn't really give a damn whether or not, Murder Machine takes out Steel or whatever. But what he wants to do, what is first and foremost on his mind, is getting the tuning fork so he can impress Barbatos. And the Batman Who Laughs pops up and is like, you don't even have a plan to get this thing back, so how exactly in the hell are you gonna do it? And he makes his plan known right then and there. His idea is to destroy it, so then he can transport it and then rebuild it. Likely so that Barbatos can rebuild it with any modifications that he, desires. And of course, destroying this tuning fork essentially leaves Superman trapped in the center of the Dark Multiverse with Barbatos, which is exactly what Barbatos wanted. So it lets you know that the Nightmare Batman have a very clear plan. They're not doing any of this stuff willy-nilly. Even though technically the Dark Multiverse is chaotic, there is no order, they seem to be operating like a well-oiled machine, and maybe even in a better capacity than even the Justice League can. But anyways, we find out on Earth -44, Barry Allen is dead, was already dead, and apparently didn't fall at the hands of the murder machine. He was already long past. Apparently on that negative Earth, the only accomplishment he ever made was dying, which I'm fairly certain is a dig at his quotey finger's death during the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And this actually goads Barry into falling for the murder machine's trap, and he ends up getting trapped into a dark multiverse boom tube, which takes him back to Central City, where he reunites with Iris West and the new Kid Flash, Wally West II. And this moment's actually pretty cool because there have been some events that I don't want to really jump too deep into right now because I do plan to do a video on it later, but there has been a rift between Barry and Iris, and that rift has caused them to not really be on speaking terms for a while. It even kind of caused a rift between him and Wally. But all's forgiven, and it seems like everything is getting set back to rights, but it's too late. Barry gets sucked into a trap and falls down a deep hole where we kind of get that text that let us know that Barbatos is the one that's speaking to him, because he says in the end, all roads lead back to the darkness. And before we know it, we find out that Barry is in, which appears to be the Batcave of Earth -52, or maybe the Red Death's recreation of that same Batcave on this Earth. They don't really say, but I think it's actually a pretty safe bet that he's on Earth -52. And it seems like all the other Justice League members have been teleported to, similar places, the negative Earths that their Nightmare Batman come from, where it appears that Hal Jordan is back on Earth -32, Wonder Woman is on Earth -12 with the Merciless, Aquaman is on Earth -11 with the Drowned. And that takes us to Justice League number 32. The fight is not looking good for them because it seems like the Justice League is underestimating the sheer power and will that the negative multiverse Batmen have. Even the Flash, who technically has run afoul of the Red Death before, and he should know better, underestimates the Red Death. And the Red Death traps him into this arena, essentially his own Batcave, which is full of sand, but it's not normal sand. It's some kind of nanotech that is essentially creating a quicksand environment for the Flash, which is going to slow him down considerably. And of course, one of the coolest parts about this is that we find out that the Red Death, even though harnessing the Speed Force has super speed, has no need for a vehicle, but of course, he's a Batman, so he has to have a Batmobile. Even Flash is unsurprised by this. He's like, you would have a Flashmobile, like, of course you would. And the Flash, being as cocky as he is the first one to point out, he can outrun any vehicle. But of course, the Red Death, being a Batman first and foremost, makes it clear that he has more than just one car. And we see all these different variations of the Batmobile, like in the form of Flashmobiles, who all seem to be able to harness the Speed Force no different than the car that he was already in. So of course that's happening. And Aquaman, still reeling from the events of the Drowned one-shot where Mira was transformed into one of the Drowned's dead water minions, Aquaman gets a warning from the nearby aquatic life that the water that he's in is poison. And the Drowned arrives with this incredibly ridiculously strange looking aquatic beast that looks like it's some kind of lobster, hammerhead shark, squid monster. And the Drowned taunts Aquaman, letting him know that your anger, your fury, none of it is going to help you stop me, because I have something that's going to throw you off your game. Don't you recognize your beloved Mira? This is Mira. She has transformed Mira into some kind of crazed aqua beast. And it's hard to say whether or not, I mean, now granted, we know Mira's fate is not sealed because she has her own standalone series that she'll be starring in soon, so clearly they're going to get her back. But it's just like, how are they going to get her back? Because there's no way the Drowned is going to transform her back. I mean, granted, Aquaman has powers that, don't get delved into a lot. He has abilities and artifacts at his disposal that he can use. But man, it ain't looking pretty. The one that really caught my interest was the Merciless and Wonder Woman squaring off, because you can tell that this Wonder Woman holds no love for Batman right now. She's kind of pissed off at him, and she is now trapped in the Batcave that the Merciless built as a shrine to his Wonder Woman. One of the things I thought was pretty cool, and this is kind of a blink and you'll miss it moment, but these are all relics in this cave, weapons of the gods, and you can actually see right by Diana's head that there is a helmet, the helmet of Naboo, that belongs to Dr. Fate. So he's apparently killed Dr. Fate on his Earth, and apparently he's killed all the gods, so I mean, it makes sense that Dr. Fate's helmet would be there. And when they fight, Diana realizes that, of course, this is a guy fighting no different than the Batman from her Earth, but he knows techniques that only an Amazon would know. She's trying to figure out how he learned these techniques, and he says, "You taught them to me." And she says, "Over my dead body, I would die before I would ever teach somebody, our secret techniques." And the Merciless just says, "You did." And after Diana demands the truth from the Merciless about his origins, and what he did on his Earth, he doesn't hide it from her. He destroyed the gods, and after he did so, he went after Themyscira. He ordered the ferryman at the River Styx to collect all the coins that the Amazons would have that would have granted them passage into the afterlife, and he melted them down into the golden drachma, which is reminiscent of the giant penny that Batman always seems to have in the Batcave. And when he swings his hammer into it, it summons all of the dead Amazon warriors to fight against Wonder Woman, and it's just, she's overwhelmed. It seems like the last bastion of hope is Hal Jordan, but now he's trapped in Earth -32 with the Dawnbreaker in his dark, weird, power ring Batcave full of weird Cthulhu monsters. And of course, we know Hal Jordan has no fear, but it doesn't matter because we now know why. The Batman Who Laughs, why he has so much information on the Justice League of Earth Zero. One of the things I never thought about is what happened to Cyborg at the end of the Murder Machine one-shot. It all makes sense now. That's why he knows so much about them, is because he has Cyborg at his disposal. He is using Cyborg as a secret weapon. That's why the Nightmare Batmen have been so calculating in their attacks against the Justice League and how they've been able to take them down with impunity. I'm pretty sure Cyborg has been unwillingly feeding them information. He's been trapped in the clutches of Barbatos and the Batman Who Laughs. There's no telling what all they've been doing to him for however long. But that's where we're gonna leave this video. Let me know what you think about how the Justice League is faring against the Nightmare Batmen. Sound off in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to click the like button. And if you want to see more awesome videos like this one, make sure you click subscribe so you can become one of Earth's mightiest subscribers, and tap that bell button so you become part of the notification squad. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Plus Ultra.